Welcome to this Arrow podcast. We are broadcasting from Iceland. My name is Annette, and I'm working with Arrow in the VMware business unit. We have a pretty cool crowd with us today. Some V experts from Iceland and VMware. But I will make you all have a short introduction to yourself. If you will start, Jacob.
Yeah, my name is Jacob. I am the cloud manager for VMware, covering Denmark, Iceland, Faroe, Greenland, all of it. So all around cloud business.
Robert Jensen, cloud management specialist, VMware.
My name is Oliver Helgi. I work with Advania, a service provider here in Iceland, responsible for infrastructure services, virtualization. That is my part.
My name is Lars. I work for Oracle as a consultant, do everything there regarding virtualization and clouds.
My name is Henrik. I work for VMware as a cloud specialist SE or VMware Cloud on AWS specialist SE in the Nordics.
My name is Liselotte Forsgaard. I'm here to moderate and record this podcast.
Yes, and we're going to talk about the cloud providers today and the market and how to deliver services to the customers. So I will start out by asking you if you could kind of give an introduction to the landscape here in Iceland.
The landscape recording service providers, it's, the service providers here, there are not that many. I think there are 3, I believe, the main service providers, with some smaller ones as well. But here in Iceland, we tend to have to, specialize in a lot of things. So there's a lot of things we need to know, as we tend to support a wide range of customers from all businesses. So it's energy or banking, or so it doesn't really matter. And there are a lot of services and technologies we need to know about so we can help them.
Yeah, I think one of the benefits of being here in Iceland as a service provider is basically we have the opportunity to be much closer to the customer than maybe in other countries where you're maybe fixed on a special vertical, for example, when you're just working with energy companies and so on. We tend to have a deeper understanding, or maybe a deeper connection with the company themselves. We're not just the company that does storage and virtualization for the customer. We tend to know everything about the customer, and maybe one of the cooler things that, like here in the service provider market in Iceland, we tend to offer them services that are not just technical services, just services like how should you engage with us, and how should you make the technical conversation with the service provider themselves.
Just a question. So regarding the services you guys offer, do you see any changes in the complexity of what they're requiring from you compared to, let's say, 3-4 years ago? Because from VMware side, what we're seeing and what we are reading in all the analysis is that we are moving towards a multi-cloud world. So are you seeing that from the partners in Denmark, say in Iceland? Are you seeing that requirement as well, saying they want to use both you, but they want your help to look into Azure, Amazon, Google, and so on?
Yeah, for our part, it's starting more and more these days. So people are asking to use specific services from specific public vendor, and of course they tend to come to us for help, either to how to use the resources or how to create the processes, how to use them, and we always help with that. And we need, in some cases we need to know, we don't have the ability just to have expertise in Amazon maybe, and then we need to know how Amazon and Azure and Google Cloud and everything works. So it's a lot of things that you need to know to be able to offer it to the customers.
I can see that the customers here in Iceland, they try to consume a lot of services from a lot of vendors in the cloud. It could be like AWS, S3, object storage, and then maybe some services from Azure. we try to have the conversation with the customer how he should and how he should utilize those services in a joint multi-cloud environment, because he needs to understand and get understanding and asks for help to understand the things. What is the risk about running something in the cloud? What are the benefits? How is my cost going to be? That is not a clear cut for the customers today. When they see a great offering that they think that it will fit their needs in a multi-cloud environment. Going forward from Azure and AWS, maybe there are services that are comparable in Azure from services that he thinks he can utilize in Azure, maybe without its cloud credits or whatever. But then there are services that he should just bring down and have at his location, because they could be sensitive for his workload or and what application he is running. Then the service provider comes in and have this service, like advisory service, basically a CTO for his company, CTO-as-a-service. And I think that is something we are doing more and more today, just being a trusted advisor, not like a technical advisor, but being a central advisor that is both business and technical at the same time.
Being in Iceland, latency-wise, you're a bit, I don't know if you can say far from everywhere, but still, I mean, latency to Ireland, Germany, Sweden, it's correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's so substantial that you can't just take your primary traditional applications running here locally and move out into a public cloud data center. I guess for consuming software as a service, could be like, don't know, Salesforce, Office 365 or what have you, would probably be okay, but you probably need to have something running here locally in Iceland for maybe some traditional or legacy applications. How do you see different public cloud offering? Do you see that as competitive to what you're doing, or maybe as an add-on service to your customers, if your customers need to have offerings for their customers outside of Iceland? How do you see the balance between local hosting and public cloud offerings?
For us, it's most of the customers have services which they need to run locally, so they can't move it just because of the latency and the locality of the data and stuff like that. So there are regulations that they need to follow. But for a lot of new customers, a lot of startups and a lot of development teams, the cloud looks to be a very good solution to get maybe resources which we can't have available in a short time frame. So if somebody comes with a big project that needs a lot of resources, or even if there's a solution which they want to use machine learning algorithm from Google or Azure, we can't offer that. We don't have the capacity or the specialty in house to do that. So I think the usage of these public clouds and the clouds of these specialized services from those public clouds will be more based on using their specialties to create something new. So they want to create a new service or offer a service which is either globally or internationally, and then we want to help them to be able to use that and help them both manage these clouds for them and help them create the underlying architecture and the layout and how the operational model of those clouds work, because they get help from us already around the operational model. So who has access to what, where the data is running, who should be doing what, how the processes work, and we need to be able to do the same thing only on the public cloud level. So if somebody wants to use something which Azure has and other public ones don't, or something that Google has and other don't, then we need to be able to offer that on the same level as we do for the local services, and we can either manage and inform them or help them how they can integrate that with their current operational processes.
You mentioned before that you're often considered as a trusted advisor for your customers. So do you think it would be realistic that you as a service provider, for instance, would maintain that role as a trusted advisor and act as a broker of services that is not your own services, but that you deliver to your customers?
Yeah, I think that is one of the new roles that service provider, wherever he is in the world, is acting as a broker, selling services from other service provider. The other service provider can be like VMware on AWS or Azure or some services in this cloud and that cloud, and bundle that together to offer the customer a single shop streamlined solution for their applications, of course. And that is, I think the big multi-cloud strategy that everyone is talking about is about that. Also being able to move services from cloud to cloud and not fixing the customers within, like when he's consuming just infrastructure services that are quite common today, like object storage, compute, and just backup storage and whatever. Having and helping the customers to say, I want to be able to move from this service provider to that service provider or this cloud to this cloud in a fast way, which is more economical for the customer. And that is also the role of a trusted advisor if the customer trusts us for doing that.
So regarding that, so basically there's a notion of how to gain access to these new services they look into in the public clouds, how they can consume them, and how they can become you service provider can become the advisor. But as you just mentioned as well, it's also regarding the cost of it. So how is that handled from your side today? Do you actually provide that visibility to the customer of the actual cost of the public clouds? Because that's ultimately what the CFO is looking into as well. So is that part of the way you look into the world today as well, or is that a big requirement from them to get that visibility?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. The long answer is yes, we need to. This is something that even though the technical guys don't care, they say, okay, how am I gonna run this here? And the guy with the money just pays for the bill. I don't care how much it costs. We still need to create some structure for the top level guys, which they can check for billing, and that goes for everything. It doesn't matter which service provider or public vendor public cloud vendor you choose. You need to create that visibility, and that is something you need to do. Otherwise, somebody's going to say, why did you spend $5,000 on Amazon this month and not the other month? And we don't know which project used that. Did you just allow the developers to do whatever they wanted, or so this is something that needs to be addressed. Yes, and we try to do that as much as possible, and try to point out as an advisor to this is something that you need to check. This is not a free-for-all service, even though you would like to use this vision machine learning algorithm. It's going to cost you. And you need to take in account what you will be doing.
Yeah, so cost is one thing, of course, but I'm guessing that security compliance is also a thing, especially giving developers access to public clouds. It's quite easy to open a firewall port and forget everything about it. So I'm guessing that's in the same realm as the costing part.
Yeah, it's almost as important as the billing. You could say that, but. There you have this this DevOps thing. So DevOps was maybe something that was a developer, which was handed an operations role, and they don't have any expert knowledge in operations. They know what a firewall is and do a lot of things. I'm seeing it more going towards that the operational guys, which are the VMware guys and the network guys, are going to take more part of the ops role and the DevOps role. They need to learn more about how to use code to create things and to, instead of using manual processes creating something, then they should use a code or infrastructure or code setup. And as you mentioned, security, because that plays a role in that as well. So when you have the op team, which has expert knowledge in security and also in regulations and what you need to do with the data and how it should flow, that is something that we need to tend to as well. So we don't give the developers a free pass to those cloud providers, especially for production environments, and you need to set them a guideline or a blueprint how they can work and how the data should be tagged or how they should be encrypted and so on. And we need to increase the knowledge of the development team if they're working with personal data or credit card data and how it should be used in the public cloud or locally. It doesn't matter. So that is something that we need to take care of as well. And I think the operations teams will take a much larger role in that in the future.
It's quite a steep learning curve from being an operations guy to start to thinking in code and in DevOps mindset.
No.
So for the listeners out there, if that's of interest, then the Phoenix Project book is a good place to start. It's a really good place to start, actually. So write that down, and I actually think half of it is on SoundCloud if you don't want to buy it right away.
Yeah, you can think about it. If you want to get rid of all the boring things you do, then this is the way to go. So you just automate the things that you do, and then just go play golf, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a need for new competencies, both as a service provider, but also as a technical person. So how do you see that shifting?
Like Iceland is very small, and we don't have maybe a lot of technical guys here, and the market's very small. I think the focus is increasingly going towards that we need to automate more. And this is just the way to go. We can't do everything manually. We don't have as many people to do all those, deployments and configurations and logging and monitoring by hand. We need to automate, and I think the DevOps and the automation, the processes are going to be more important in the future, especially for Iceland, because we need to make code do what we usually did by hand in a GUI. So I think the GUI is slowly going somewhere.
But maybe that's a great tip as well for other Nordic countries.
I think that I believe the market is slowly going towards that sense. If you create your infrastructure as a code, it's almost easier to manage. Of course, it's not a fit for all. It doesn't fit every process or every deployment or every project, but it should be like virtualization first was a couple of years ago, when you said, okay, instead of putting on a physical box, okay, I'm going to put on a virtual machine. Now it's like automate first when it applies. It should go that way, and I think it should. Will go that way increasingly in the future.
It's funny looking at some of the VMware products that we come out with now. We actually have an API first mindset. So the API first and then the GUI afterwards. So it fits really well in that.
So basically sitting and listening to you guys comment around the market and the challenges and so on, just a little perspective around what we see of the future as well. So for VMware's part, what we're trying to do is we're trying to actually help spot on to some of the challenges you guys are facing as well. So basically, at a high level, what we're trying to achieve is we tend to focus our development into two different areas. We want to help with building the platform you guys have in the data center, which you're basically running the majority of your hosting services on. But on the second hand, we want to help you go into and stretch into the multi-cloud world, where we can start to simplify and provide a framework for you guys to sell services on top. So you can go in and consume native cloud services and actually present that to a customer in a seamless way, but also keeping the cost aspect into this as well. So we got two products, so to speak, coming out, which is the Cloud Provider Pod and the Cloud Provider Hub, which are focused into the Hub is for the public clouds, and the Pod is for the on-premise platform for the service provider. For the Pod part, it's basically how we can automate and streamline your deployment method, so you can easily make sure you got the newest version, thereby having the newest functionalities to the customers as well, simplifying that. For the Hub side, it's basically saying you have customers looking into AWS. Let's start to look into VMC and AWS to just extend what they need of this application close to the native AWS APIs they actually need to access to. So you guys can then start to deliver that as managed services for your customers. So you're saying you are the trusted advisor of the customer. With that also gives you a lot of responsibility because you need to think about the security, the compliance of it as well. But from VMware side, we are trying to help you as much as we can to develop a platform, a cloud provider platform, which can basically become the framework for your future offerings, both on the private cloud, but also on the public cloud aspect as well. So that's basically what we are trying to push towards as well.
Okay, so now we are at the phase of this recording where we can do shameless plugs of or pat ourselves on the shoulder as VMware. But it was some interesting concerns that you raised or some requirements. So you can say, just to summarize, Jacob, you talked about the cloud provider pod. So that's essentially our recommendation for building up, I won't say private cloud because it's from a service provider, but it's like public cloud or private cloud based on Cloud Foundation with the service provider specific add-ons added onto it. So that's like a recipe for building up something that is compatible with other Cloud Foundation, like VMware Cloud and AWS, for instance. Then you mentioned the Cloud Provider Hub. Could we say, in essence, it's like a multi-tenant service broker for service providers to offer services to their customers? Right now, there are only two services, VMware Cloud and AWS being one of them. And under Robert's umbrella, under the Hub, we will continue to offer more and more VMware services. Two of those services in the future could easily be something that's today under Robert's umbrella, Cloud Health, giving you as a service provider an overview of who is using which amount of money from public clouds or from your on-premise Cloud Foundation-based public cloud, as well as under Robert's umbrella again, service broker, giving the ability to broker various kinds of services. More specifically, maybe the governance. Who gets to do what? No, the consumer does not get to delete a cluster and VMware Cloud and AWS. No, the developer does not get to just spin up like a million VMs, but give you a bit of control. I know some of it is still to come, but at least it sounds like we're having the same vision, so to say.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's funny that looking back just a year ago when we were here the last time for vForum, I talked about VMC on AWS, and I still remember the feedback. It was way too far away, and it's we don't consume anything outside of Iceland. And it seems like there's really been a shift in Iceland just over the last year, because your mentality today is you're not the same persons that I met a year ago. So am I right there, or is it didn't I just listen properly last year?
We are the same person. We were just brainwashed by a lot of cloud services. No. There are a lot of new services being built up, and of course it's the way that it's going to be for the future programs to be built up around the cloud. We cannot deny it. Of course, it's on record from the last year that we were maybe a bit, how do you say it, not optimistic about it, but that is something that is being better and better every day, and the companies they want to be able to consume that in a good way.
Thank you so much, guys, for participating here. And thank you out there for listening.